and 4. Now here's Mike Hoss.
Hello and welcome to 4th Down on 4. The Saints win their 7th game of the year as the ride continues. A rebuilding team looks more and more like a playoff team each week. Once in the playoffs, the Saints hope to have Ricky Williams back. He needed 93 yards today to become only the 5th Saints back to ever reach 1,000 yards. But how costly will that 93rd yard become? For as he reached 1,000 yards, he broke his left ankle and will be out 6 to 8 weeks. The only blemish in what's been a spectacular run.
Ricky broke his ankle, stretched some ligaments. He's probably out, 6 to 8 weeks, probably 2 months.
I think I need surgery. I think maybe tomorrow.
What should have been unwavering celebration for winning a 6th straight game was scarred by the broken ankle of Ricky Williams, keeping him out of action for 6 to 8 weeks.
I mean, I was upset, obviously, because I've been having more fun this year, and it's just tough because it's a long road back from any kind of injury, especially one like this.
Ironically, the injury occurred as Williams became the team's first 1,000-yard rusher since 1989.
That's going to hurt. It's going to definitely hurt. I'm sure a lot of other teams will definitely try to counter on that. But hey, we got players here. Gerald Moore, Chad Morton going to have to step up.
He tracks a lot. You lose a player like that. He's an integral part of this offense, huge part of this team. And this win cost us today. Cost us Ricky.
Hey, y'all still here? Push the tempo, 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 push the tempo.
After each team squandered chances on opening drives, Darren Howard wasted what was a phenomenal athletic interception by fumbling at the goal line, losing the ball, and ensuing challenge.
It was crazy. I mean, get the ball in my hand, had to run all the way down the field. I thought I was in, but, I should have held on the ball regardless. So it's something to learn from, and it'll never happen again.
Joe Horn's 7th touchdown on the season on the Saints' next possession gave the black and gold a 7-0 lead they would not surrender.
Basically, I was reading the safety. If the safety come down off and bite on the run, I basically go over the top. But they had another safety back there, and that was Eugene. And I didn't think Eugene would catch up to me before Jeff decided to throw the ball.
But it was the defense that decided this game in the 3rd quarter. Sammy Knight knocked it loose, and Keith Mitchell scooped it up for a team record 90-yard return for a score.
One, I was so tired, man. But I saw a big hand rolling with me, so I said, I can't slow down. I got to keep going. My guys blocking for me. I got to keep it going. And it was one of those things, it gave us a boost, and that's what we needed. And after that, we just kept coming with the big plays, interceptions, fumble, all those good things. And that's what it's all about.
On the Panthers' next possession, William Whitehead was the one separating the ball from Steve Berline, but again, Keith Mitchell was the one to pounce on it. It led to a Doug Bryant 40-yarder in the 4th quarter as the Saints score half their points off of Carolina turnovers.
I think we were hungry today. We really wanted to get after him. They did some different things, but, Joe Johnson stepped up, played a great game today. And Norman Ham stepped up and played a great game today. Keith Mitchell's always been playing well for us. The guys in the secondary played great.
The Panthers scored to reduce the gap to 7 points late at 17-10. But the Saints answered on the next drive, despite losing Williams. Chad Morton with a key 3rd and 5 pickup that eventually set up another Doug Bryant field goal. And the defense finished the job, sacking Berline twice on their final possession as they finished the game with 8 sacks and 5 turnovers.
That's the mark of a good team, man. We've just been playing together, that front four. They got pressure on them all day, which allowed our corners to play real great. They took a couple of interceptions away from, a couple of corners that made some good plays, fumbles they took away. But, hey, that's how it is.
Cover him up. Yeah. 6 in a row, baby. Keep it going.
Back to the NO, baby. Right back to the swamp. We coming home. You be there. We'll be there.
In a couple of respects, very similar to that October 15th game for the defense. 8 sacks in both games and only 63 yards total rushing in both games. For the season now, the Saints have 44 sacks in the team record. They're just 15 away. And another strong afternoon for Joe Horn. For the second consecutive week, he has caught a 43-yard touchdown, his third TD of over 40 yards this season. He is on pace to have the single-season receiving yardage record as a New Orleans Saint. The Saints are 7-0 now when they score 20 points or more. They are 5-1 now on the road. The best ever for them as a road record is 6-2, and it is the first ever sweep of Carolina. Saints tight end Andrew Glover, our guest tonight, and 7-3, 5-1 on the road, 6 straight. That's a huge win today on the road against a team coming off of a big win against St. Louis.
Wow. We have a lot to be proud of. I mean, for this organization, this is big, and you just have to give all the credit, you know, to the coaching staff, this organization, and the players, you know, who go out and play hard each and every week.
Certainly the fourth quarter interesting and tough. Ricky Williams, the irony of getting 1,000 yards on 93 yards for the game, but breaking his ankle, out 6 to 8 weeks. We'll know more after they look at the ligament damage. What was the tenor like on the sidelines after that?
Well, I think we really didn't know what the extent of the injury was, you know, on the sideline. But, you know, we had the locker room was very jolly after the game until, you know, word got around that, you know, Ricky had broken his, his ankle or his leg. It was a great disappointment. You know, the guy had so much to play for. You know, everything was going so well. The line and he were, you know, working very well together. So it's really disappointing. And, you know, we wish Ricky all the best and a speedy recovery. And hopefully we'll still be around, you know, whenever he comes back.
As part of our weekly segment with what we call Chalk Talk, and this is certainly in line with a Ricky question, it comes from Jim in Slidell, Jim Ryan. And how devastating of an injury is this to the team mentally right now because of what's happened and where you are? How devastating?
It's tough. It really knocks us off our block. We have to rebuild now. We have to, you know, other guys have to step it up. You know, we have some guys that are very capable, Martin, and you know, it's probably
Gerald. Do you think they'll sign it back? I mean, I know you're not the head coach of the GM, but I mean, probably bring somebody in this week?
Who knows? I'm not certain, but I think, you know, we'll look in-house first and see if we can get it done. And, you know, with that offensive line, the way the offensive line blocks, it's, you know, we could have a good back, get in the backfield and eat up some yardage.
Well, let's talk quickly about X's and O's. I mean, obviously the West Coast originally built around kind of the tight end and Cam Cleveland and Ricky Williams, now both gone. Ricky's so key in that play-action pass, the threat of them giving Ricky the ball. How does it change this offense?
Well, you know, a lot of teams, they know that we're going to go to Ricky and he's going to touch the ball, you know, quite a bit during the course of the game. Now, you know, they don't know, you know, where the ball is going to go. I mean, they probably won't even have a clue, you know, where we're going to go now. So it's difficult. It's difficult because, you know, Ricky was so capable of putting up big numbers. And, you know, to take that away from us, that's a lot of yardage. So we're going to have some guys fill in, and the guys around them are going to have to step up.
Talk about one play as a turnaround game, and a turnaround play. Think about the play that Keith Mitchell made in Atlanta and today. I mean, did you just feel the wind get sucked out of Carolina when he brought it back 90 yards?
Definitely. It's big. The wind got sucked out of Carolina, and the wind blew us up.
Yeah.
Because we knew at that point that once we got one of the breaks, then that's all we need to get that train rolling. And, you know, from there, I think, you know, our confidence started to, you know, get higher and higher, and we just start steamrolling, guys.
All right, Andrew, sit tight. More with Saints tight end Andrew Glover when we return. Your score by quarters as we go to break. And we'll begin running down the prep playoff matchups for week number 2. And Jim Henderson examines 2 big momentum-swinging plays. We've talked about one that weren't decided until the officials made it official. Rookie Darren Howard snatched it out of the air and appeared to have scored his first touchdown, but didn't. Keith Mitchell picked up the loose ball and scored his second TD in 4 games. 2 key plays left in the hands of an official in videotape. Jim Henderson has more.
They say Joe puts those heads.
Jim Haslett had told his team before the game that the Panthers cannot beat you. You are the better team. You can only lose by beating yourself. In the first half, the Saints seemed intent on doing just that. After a scoreless first quarter, Doug Bryan had his shortest miss of the season from 33 yards. And Darren Howard went from hero to GOAT faster than you can say Leon Lett. The defensive end turned a brilliant interception into what looked to be a 47-yard touchdown ramble. Instead, a not very funny thing happened on the way to the end zone. A controversial strip of the football at the 1, a Panther recovery, and a touchback. Howard wasn't so sure.
I thought I was in because when I got to the goal line, I tried to slide and get down. I thought my knee was down in the end zone when I went down. So I should have held on the ball all the way.
The replay didn't provide a definitive angle, and the Saint challenge was denied. It could have sucked much of the life from the Saints. Instead, it breathed a new fire to life in the Saints' belly.
You know, stuff like that bothers them, but it doesn't affect them. They just keep playing hard, and they play through all that.
The defense forced a 3-and-out. And then the Saints offense went 1-and-out. One 43-yard strike from Blake to Horn for the only touchdown of the first half. The Saints overcame every adversity: bad luck, bad penalties, bad calls. They had every excuse should they have lost, but in a 6th straight victory, they wouldn't need any of them. The Saints left 10 points on the field in the first half, which they led 7-3 at intermission. The Panthers were orchestrating a potential go-ahead drive in the 3rd quarter. It had reached the Saint 14 when Sammy Knight stripped Berline of the football from behind. Keith Mitchell scooped and scored from 90 yards, the longest fumble return in team history. This time it was the Panthers' turn to challenge, claiming Berline's arm was moving forward. And this time it was George Seifert's turn to be rebuffed. No surprise tonight.
It was a strip all the way, you know. You saw Keith Mitchell make a great play, man. He's been making big plays for us the whole year. So, you know, he made a big fumble return. You saw that he got hit, stayed up, and made a touchdown. That was big.
The Saints lost a touchdown to replay and had another affirmed by it. All in a day's work for the workmanlike winners of 6 in a row. In Charlotte, Jim Henderson, 4th down on 4.
Back with Saints tight end Andrew Glover talking about that Darren Howard play. I mean, obviously on the sidelines, you guys thought immediately touchdown.
Yes, we definitely did. We thought that was the play that was going to put us over the top, that was going to really get us going. And, you know, upon further review, the officials ruled it the same as they had ruled it on the field. So it kind of took a little win out of it, but we had hope at that point. We knew that we were one play away, and it was just a matter of time before we were going to make that big play.
You guys overcame a lot today. When you consider the Darren Howard play, Jeff throws the interception deep in the territory. Doug Bryan misses a chip shot. Fred Weary makes a pick that they overrule. I mean, that's a pass interference call. Terrible call. I mean, you guys did overcome a lot to get this win.
Says a lot about the character and the perseverance of this football team. You know, Randy Mueller built this football team with, you know, a lot of veterans, you know, crafty veterans and a lot of younger guys. And I think that leadership that's been thrust upon myself and a lot of the other veterans is showing, you know, during the course of the game and in the locker room. So we're a never say die team. We always end it until the end.
I want to talk about one of the plays at the end of the first half. This is where Jeff made the interception, but before that, it was yourself, Brian Milne, Ricky Williams, Lamont Hall. You guys were the 4 wideouts. You know the play I'm talking about? Where Ricky ran a little into the corner of the end zone and Jeff overthrew him.
Right.
I mean, that's an interesting 4 guys that I would not think that you would have as your wideout. That was an interesting situation there, interesting alignment.
Well, it's a different setup, you know, down there, and what we want to do is get a mismatch on the matchup, and that's where we're going. So, you know, if the linebacker, whomever the particular guy is that we're looking for, comes out in the matchup, then that's the guy we're going to attack.
And it certainly worked. It just we didn't make the connection. Wow, does it get any bigger than 8-1 Oakland? 8-1 right now. Oakland plays tomorrow night. Coming into your place on Sunday.
It's big.
This will be. People say that you haven't been tested yet. This is certainly the test that people say that you need.
Well, I don't think we're really concerned about what people say. Right. You know, a win is a win in the NFL. You know, each and every week is a big challenge. You know, Oakland, you know, as a very good team, and we're going to be up for that challenge. And you know, we're going to come out and try to win that game. We want to win, and you know, we don't feel like that. You know, they are any better than we are. You know, when we go out on the field, they're a team and we're a team, and they're coming in the Superdome, and you know, that's going to have to be a price to be paid in order to win that game.
7-3. It's been a great run so far. Keep it going.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming down on 4th down on 4. The sweep is rare.
Deuce Staley, gone. Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk, out. Rob Johnson, out. In, out, and soon to be in again. Integral, some would say indispensable cogs in the offenses of the Eagles, Rams, and Bills. 3 teams that won again yesterday without them. Ricky Williams gone for the season for the Saints. Can they, like the Eagles, Rams, and Bills, win without their primary offensive weapon as well? Yesterday, Ricky Williams sought to break the vaunted 1,000-yard rushing barrier. On his last carry of the season, it was over and out, and the hearts of many Saints fans snapped along with Ricky's left fibula. But take heart, Saints fans, in Dr. Henderson's foolproof, foolhardy statistical analysis, which says the Saints are one of the 2 most likely teams in the NFL through the first 10 weeks of the season to be able to overcome the loss of 1 player, no matter how much he means to his club. Football, remember, is a team game. You heard it here first. Therefore, the teams with the best balance between offense and defense should ultimately prevail. Now, my theory combines hard data, some mushy conjecture, and a taint of bias in reaching a debatable conclusion. Think of it as a Palm Beach County exit poll. If you add up the NFL rankings of a team's offense and defense, the best score would be 2. First in offense, first in defense. The worst score would be 62. 31st in offense, 31st in defense. Prior to yesterday's games, the 2 worst teams in the NFL utilizing this theory were the Seahawks and the Falcons, with totals of 59 and 57. The 2 best teams, remember low-score wins, were the Buffalo Bills and the New Orleans Saints, with totals of 14 and 16. No sport, to my limited knowledge, has more players on a team. No sport relies in so many of them to win a game. This is not to suggest that the loss of Ricky Williams isn't a major one. It is. But this theory maintains that a team doesn't achieve such a lofty ranking without balance. Balance between running the ball and passing it, balance between stopping the run and stopping the pass, balance between moving the football offensively and stopping such movement defensively. I offer this last statistical nugget in support of my theory that the team with the best balance should be the best team. At the end of the 1999 regular season, the team with the best balance was the St. Louis Rams, with a total of 7. First on offense, 6th on defense. And ultimately, they proved it in the Super Bowl. Now, you can punch as many holes in this argument as you like. Go ahead and treat it like a Broward County butterfly ballot if you wish. Just remember, this season, like last week's election, ain't over till it's over. One didn't end last Tuesday, and the other didn't end last Sunday.
All right.
Let's look at sports.
I don't think we need a recount. Thanks. Carl's Chili 4.
From WWL-TV Channel 4, this is 4th Down on 4. Now, here's Mike Hoss.
Hello, and welcome to 4th Down on 4. The streak is over, but through 11 games, the Saints are still 7-4 and very much in the thick of it. But they'll go the rest of the way without Jeff Blake or Ricky Williams in a season where they've already lost their starting tight end, Cam Cleland, and wideout Jake Reed, though Reed is expected back. The Oakland Raiders became the 3rd team to win in the Dome this year, winning today 31-22. Handling adversity has been a battle cry all season, and the Saints have had more than their share the past 2 Sundays.
Ricky broke his ankle, stretched some ligaments. He's probably out, 6 to 8 weeks, probably 2 months.
I think I need surgery. I think maybe tomorrow.
Everybody knew about Jeff. He broke his foot. He's probably going to have surgery.
I'm very hurt. It took a lot to hold in my tears. But, I got to be strong for the guys. I got to be strong for my family. And I got to continue. I can't use my body, but now I can use my mind to help us win some football games.
Jeff Blake's season ended in the first quarter, simply throwing the ball away to avoid a sack. Lance Johnstone fell anything but harmlessly on Blake's foot, breaking it and dislocating it. And he knew instantly the severity of the injury.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It didn't feel the same. I've never laid down in my whole career. And I've always jumped right up, regardless if I was dizzy or anything. But glory be to God, and just thank him for this opportunity that I've gotten so far.
Enter second-year quarterback Aaron Brooks, who had never attempted an NFL pass, and his first was intercepted by Charles Woodson.
I like to have that interception back. Two plays I would like to have back is the interception. Wilson made a great play. He's a great player. He made a great play for him to come off Joe and make a play on that ball.
Before Brooks even completed a pass, the Raiders had built a 17-0 lead as Rich Gannon delivered on almost every occasion, avoiding the pressure just long enough to find running room or a big play.
He's very mobile, you know, and he's a big guy and strong guy. And a lot of times we had him, we just couldn't close the deal. And normally that would have been a sack or interception, things like that. And you know, they made the plays. They made the plays today.
His first pass was picked off. Brooks' first completion went for a touchdown. A perfectly called, well-executed 53-yard strike to Willie Jackson.
We thought it was an opportunity for them to bite on that play. And they bit, and they bit. They did exactly what we thought they was going to do. Will Jack just got to, you know, he slipped this guy and he became wide open.
He came in and did a good job. I mean, he came in and showed leadership. He wasn't rattled at all. Sat back there in the pocket and and made some key throws when we needed them. And made some plays when we needed them. Scrambled out the pocket and just moved well.
The Saints dominated the third quarter as the defense laid into Gannon and cut the Raider deficit to 17-13 and just missed tying the game on this near touchdown pass to Andrew Glover. But the Saints, penalized 12 times on the day, several negating big plays, would get no closer as they couldn't stop the Raiders on third down, with the black and silver at one point converting 7 straight. Gannon's 21-yard TD to Tim Brown gave the Raiders an 11-point fourth-quarter lead.
We outgained them in total yardage, and we played some pretty good football in a lot of areas, but the third downs, and especially in the second half on defense, we couldn't get them off the field, and in offense we couldn't convert, and we had some needless penalties. We had 10 penalties for 87 yards.
A lot of penalties were thrown. I don't know what the referees were on today.
I'll let you put it like you want to put it. But I felt like we played two teams today. First quarter through the fourth quarter.
Brooks finished the afternoon completing 14 of 22 and 2 touchdown passes while shedding his backup title role for the final 5-game playoff push.
I'm very comfortable about this situation. I know Jeff gonna be there right beside me. He's a great mentor. He's becoming a player coach now, being in his injury. It's gonna keep him out, but I mean, at the same time, I feel very comfortable going into next week's game against St. Louis.
Yeah, we definitely got to step it up and try to create more turnovers, create the quarterback from scrambling, do whatever it takes to get the ball back for our offense.
Those guys play well, and we're going to win some more football games, and we're going to get to the playoffs, too.
A lot of football left, a lot of football left.
And the Saints running the football today were just 1 yard under their rushing average for the season. 45 for Morton. Gerald Moore had 42, and what a day for Terrell Smith. Over 10 yards a carry, 4 carries for 42. They had 129 between them. Rich Gannon, by the way, was the game's leading rusher with 55 yards. And on third down, it was big on both sides. The Saints were 3 of 11, 27%. The Raiders 9 of 15. And look at the Raiders in the second half. All but 1 third down they converted. And too much yellow today for the Saints. They were penalized 12 times for 93 yards, the most that they had been penalized since opening Sunday when they were penalized 12 times in that loss to Detroit. Fourth down analyst Archie Manning joining us tonight. The 6-game winning streak is over. Tough loss to a really good football team. But you lose Jeff Blake, your starting quarterback. You lose Ricky Williams late in the fourth quarter last week. Jeff Blake in the first quarter this week. Those are 2 tough losses.
Yeah, it's hard. No team can really lose your top rusher and a guy that's a big part of your offense, and then your quarterback without it being damaging. It's so unfortunate. This has been a Cinderella-type year, the vast improvement on both sides of the ball, but then you lose 2 key players like that. That's tough stuff. The good news, Mike, though, you still got a great defensive football team, still got a great offensive line, and that can carry you a long way in football. So I really admire the way the Saints coaching staff handled the loss of Ricky this past week, and I have no doubt they're going to approach the remainder of the season the same way in losing Jeff Blake. Just kind of pull up your socks and go with it.
Probably bring in a Billy Joe Tolliver. I mean, you could bring in a running back who might not know the system. I don't think you bring in a quarterback in week 12 who doesn't know the system. And the Saints made this decision with Aaron Brooks really back in August, who had never thrown an NFL pass. They knew that somewhere along the way, unless Jeff went the distance, they would be putting somebody in who had never thrown an NFL pass, though he played really well today.
Well, you could go back and criticize the Saints now, saying, well, you should have had a veteran quarterback behind Jeff Blake when you start the season. Well, you remember back when we started the season, we had no idea our record is going to be so good at playing this type of football that you're really going to be in a playoff hunt. I mean, the odds were against that. They were really high on Aaron Brooks. They gave up a third round pick. They elevated him to number 2 without really, he didn't get to do much in the preseason. So they say he hadn't gotten a lot of reps in practice, but he's gotten some as the number 2. Now let's look on the plus side of it now. They think he's going to be maybe the quarterback of the future. He needs playing time, and he's going to get it. You could say, well, he could get it next year in preseason. You don't get quality playing time in preseason. The number 2 goes with the number 2, or you play a half here against someone. He's going to get to tee it up now for the next 5 games. Hopefully he'll survive this and be able to hang in there, because this is invaluable experience for him. And if Jeff Blake can come back from this injury, you go into next year, now you've got a starter who's got a lot of experience, who was having a good year, and then you have a backup who got 5 games of experience against very good teams.
Yeah,
I might add.
St. Louis twice beginning. How about your first opening start is in St. Louis against the world champion St. Louis? Denver comes to town. You got to go play in San Francisco. You know, always tough to win out there, and in Atlanta.
Well, again, though, yeah, you're playing against good teams, but he does have some pluses. I mean, this defense that he's got on his side, this offensive line, Joe Horn's having a big year. It looks like we filled in well. The running back situation's going to hang in there. So I think the coaching staff's going to handle it the same way, and I thought he did a good job today. There's no reason to believe they're going to try to. They'll have to tweak things a little bit and try to do things that he does better. There is a lack of experience there, but still, you do the best you can. There's some teams throughout the league. There's one playing on TV tonight. They've had multiple injuries. Now it wasn't. So it hadn't been their quarterback, and they lost their running back for a while. But I mean, some of the teams that aren't doing well, they've lost a lot of key players. It happens to everyone. The good news, it doesn't happen every year. So. You make the best of it, and we'll see what happens.
The Saints have had a lot of adversity, but handled it, as you say, extremely well to this point. More with Archie Manning when we return. As we go to break, we'll have your weekly Saints score by quarters, and when we return, Jim Baskell takes a closer look at the damage done by today's leading rusher. That and more. Stay with us. Three quarters today, Oakland quarterback Rich Gannon had only 2 more yards passing than he had running. He made some big fourth-quarter throws, but as Jim Baskell reports, it was his legs earlier in the game that put the Saints in a hole.
The Raiders like to run, but usually it's a back named Wheatley that leads the way. Today, Rich Gannon picked his spots to pick apart the Saints.
Their weapon today was Gannon. I mean, he played a good game for him. I mean, we take our hat off to him.
At the outset of the game, with the absence of Tyrone Wheatley, the focus of the attention for the run game against Oakland was Napoleon Kaufman. Little did the Saints defense know their worst fear would be the quarterback, Rich Gannon.
Raiders to the Super Bowl all the way!
Second quarter of a 3-0 game, Gannon takes off on a 2nd and 10 and gets 13 to the Saints' 34. Drive alive and fruitful, thanks to his fleet feet eluding the rush and tossing on the run for Andre Rison. The 34-yard score produces the game's first touchdown.
Our thing was to try to get to him today, and I think we got to him, but we couldn't get him in the grass, get him down. A couple times we did, but that first half, I mean, he was making unreal plays.
He's a good scrambler. I mean, when we had everybody covered up, he just he took off running, and that's why they are where they are right now.
Gannon was off and running on the next drive with a 3rd and 3, producing 21. 8 more soon to follow, setting up the Raiders for a 1st and goal from the 6. A touchdown came on the next play. The Saints cut the Oakland lead to 4 in the 3rd when Gannon struck again. 3rd and 8 from their 29. The 10-yard scamper gets a first and leads to a touchdown that gave the Raiders the breathing room they needed. Gannon's legs produced 55 yards on 7 runs. The Saints had him scouted right, but in a few big spots, played wrong.
That was a key for us. That's kind of disappointing for me personally. I think what he did was he scrambled and kept the chains moving, and we weren't able to get our offense on the field, and that was a big hit for us.
That hit ends a 6-game streak for a team that visits the Super Bowl champs next week.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Jim Baswell for 4th down on 4.
And now it's time for Chalk Talk, and it comes from David Kern in Matthews, Louisiana. Teams with mobile quarterbacks have had success running up the middle for substantial gains on 3rd downs. What adjustments can the defense make to stop this? And the Saints have had some time against mobile quarterbacks this year.
There's a lot more mobile quarterbacks out there. Mike, you can spy. You can let one of the tackles or someone pull off of his rush a little bit and try to spy and be there to stop the run. But this front 4 is so good, and they've really made their mark this year by attacking and going after the quarterback. And I think that's what they did with Rich Gannon today. I think you just got to take your hat off to Rich Gannon. He's an older player, but he's still got his agility, and he just makes plays. And he's having an MVP type year, in my opinion. I think the other thing is so hard, Mike. It's so hard to practice against this. You're really not live anyway in practice during the course of the week, but it's kind of hard to practice for a scrambler. I mean, because in the game, it's just, you're all out and it's just different. And I mean, I think you just got to take your hat off to Rich Gannon. He made some play. We got after him good. We did a lot of good things to him. I mean, he had less than 200 yards passing. You know, a lot of times, I think too many times, we judge a good defensive effort by sacks. It's not really sacks, it's disruption. And we wanted to disrupt his rhythm and keep him from getting hot, sitting in the pocket, making all those throws. They got good receivers, they got good stuff, they got a good team. So he made, just give him credit, he made the plays today.
And certainly during this win streak, something that this team had not had problems with were penalties, and certainly costly penalties. 12 penalties today, that's what's abnormally high. And again, they kind of came on big plays. Chad Morton had a couple of nice runs, and so you take away a 25-yard gain with a holding penalty. Joe Horn had a rough afternoon all the way around from a penalty standpoint, but that's what this team wasn't doing during the 6-game winning streak.
Yeah, I know Jim Haslett said he was a little worried about Aaron Brooks not being enthusiastic enough.
Yeah, too calm.
But maybe Joe Horn needs to give Aaron just a little bit, and Joe needs to settle down a little bit because he's hurting the team there today, although he's been a good receiver this year. Penalties are something, again, you don't plan on them, and some teams, you know, during the course of the year, you're not as penalized as much, and all of a sudden, a big rush of them comes, and it seemed that seemed to be the case today. They're unfortunate because they really got us at some inopportune time.
All right, Archie, thanks a lot. St. Louis, big one next week in Missouri.
LSU to injured reserve, to be sure, lost for the season, but expected to make a full recovery and will be full go for the team's first offseason workouts on March 19th. The Saints re-signed Billy Joe Tolliver to a 1-year contract to serve as the team's 3rd quarterback. His knowledge of the offense and the team's knowledge of him and his positive presence in the locker room made him an easy choice to fill the void.
Well, he's been here. He knows what's going on. He knows our players. And I think he's well liked. You know, I think it would be good to have an older guy, you know, around with the 2 young guys with Aaron and Jake, just to give him some stability.
LSU won't be going home for the... When Ricky Williams went down last week, there was one consolation for head coach Jim Haslett. At least it wasn't my quarterback. 1 week later, it's nearly impossible to find any consolation after losing Jeff Blake. After a 6th straight victory a week ago, Haslett cautioned that someday his team would lose again, that there would be bumps in the road to overcome. After what's happened the past 2 weeks, those bumps look like the Himalayas. The difference between the Saints, who started 1-3, and the Saints who then reeled off 6 straight wins, was Jeff Blake. He came here with his guard up after an unhappy ending to his career as a Cincinnati Bengal. After that 1-3 start to the season, during which the Saints averaged 9 points a game in those losses, the book on Blake as a physically gifted but erratic passer seemed more fact than fiction. But after the bye week, Blake blossomed, and so did the Saints offense. His performance began to approach his work ethic. He became the leader of that unit that took on his personality as it rallied around him. The quarterback needs to be the toughest guy on the offense, and Jeff Blake was. He never begged off from the arduous workload in training camp, though he could have, never stayed down with an injury, though he could have. Jeff Blake always got up until yesterday when he couldn't. And now they go on without what remains at quarterback, at running back, as they had before at tight end, at cornerback, at middle linebacker, and at wide receiver. At the end of the year, the most successful teams are usually the best, but often the healthiest as well. The Oakland Raiders, for example, had the same 53 players on their roster this season during the first 9 games when they opened 8-1. The events of the last 2 weeks are discouraging, but it'll be up to Jim Haslett and his staff to prevent them from being viewed as catastrophic. Too much has been accomplished. Too much football remains. Too attainable still are goals of a winning season and a playoff berth that almost no one thought possible for this team to squander in self-pity. Adversity doesn't build character, it usually reveals it. And these Saints, I truly believe, have had and will show an abundance of both. And that's Look at Sports.
Correct.
Well, in minicamp last spring, Jim Haslett gathered his team around him for the first time, addressing a roster consisting primarily of other teams' cast-offs and veteran holdovers from a team that had lost 13 games and nearly all its self-respect a year ago. We are going to learn how to handle 2 things, Haslett began. One is adversity, because we're going to have it. And they shook their heads in agreement with eyes downcast. And 2 is success, because we're going to have that too. And they raised their heads in unison with eyes widening in skeptical optimism. Despite adversity of biblical proportion, those heads never went back down, and today deserve to be held higher than anyone else's in the NFL, higher than any team in Saints history. In the locker room after yesterday's thrilling upset, Leroy Glover cautioned his teammates, "Don't forget what got us here." And they looked around at one another, starters some still, role players many, given leaders for the first time, survivors all. And they were reminded that because they believed, because they worked, because they fought with every fiber of their bodies for every second of the game, they had just beaten the defending Super Bowl champions, beaten them in their home as 2-touchdown underdogs to claim the lead of the NFC West 3/4 of the way through the season. It may seem like a turkey-induced dream, but the Saints did all that with heroes like Aaron Brooks, Gerald Moore, Fred Thomas, Chris Oldham, Robert Wilson, and Brian Milne. If while I snooze, the Rams lose, and while I snore, the Saints score, don't anybody try to wake me. Last night, airport revelers stood 10 deep on the roadside while the Saints slowly drove home through their outstretched hands like a Mardi Gras parade on Fat Tuesday. Like a Mardi Gras crowd, the fans were shoulder to shoulder, young and old, rich and poor, man and woman, black and white, united in celebration and their deliberation to let the good times roll with no thought to tomorrow. But unlike a Mardi Gras crowd, these hands were outstretched not to beseech, but to bestow. Besides a possible autograph, these fans sought nothing but the opportunity to extend the holiday spirit. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, they wanted only to say thanks. Thanks for letting us feel so good about our team. And thanks for letting us feel so good about ourselves.
That's for sure.
It was a great day.
Absolutely. That's terrific.
Thanks, Jim.
From WWL-TV Channel 4, this is 4th Down on 4. Now, here's Mike Hoss.
Hello and welcome to 4th Down on 4. The Saints vow to shut down the high-powered Rams offense and did, holding the Rams to a season low in rushing yards, passing yards, total offense, and time of possession. That and a superb debut by quarterback Aaron Brooks gave the Saints a 31-24 victory and first place in the NFC West with just 4 weeks left. The man at center, veteran Jerry Fontenot, is our guest tonight. The Saints lost another starter for the year today in cornerback Fred Weary. More adversity for the team that almost thrives on it. A team with little fanfare or hype simply got it done again.
We're gonna show you the real number 1 today, baby.
This is not a media hype. This is not a media hype. This is not a media hype. This is not a media hype.
We beat a team that's a division opponent, which makes us 5-0 in our division, and we beat a team on the road, which makes us the best road team in pro football.
Anytime you can come in this house and pull out a W, it's a great feeling.
The Saints wasted little time pushing the Rams back on their heels, recovering an onside kick to open the game, and a flea flicker, albeit unsuccessful in their first series.
We're going to do whatever we got to do to win a football game, and like I said, we were trying to limit their possessions on offense, and why not get the onside kick to start the game? That gives them one less possession.
The Rams scored on their second possession to take a 7-0 lead, and on the drive, the Saints lose starting cornerback Fred Weary for the season with a knee injury.
That's been the mark on this team all season. When a guy goes down, somebody steps up and shows why they're a part of this NFL thing. And so it's going to continue to be that way. There's going to be more adversity as the season goes on, so we just got to stay focused and take it one game at a time.
After the Saints recovered a fumbled punt, Brian Milne touched the ball for the first time all season and scored a touchdown to tie it at 7.
Even in practice, he doesn't throw it to me. But, you know, when your number's called and you have to execute, you have to do it. So it's a credit to him to put that ball in there, and it was easy after he put it in there.
Gerald Moore kept the theme going, scoring his first Saints touchdown as New Orleans took a 14-7 second quarter lead. The Saints defense kept Marshall Faulk bundled up, and the Rams off the board by making score his second touchdown and a 31-24 lead.
I just wanted the guys to know that, hey, no, we're not out of it. We're going to need this drive. We're going to have to keep scoring in order to win this game. I know it's going to be a high-scoring game. Knew we had to produce 30 points in order to have a chance to win the game. That we did, but, you know, we got some breaks.
This one not in the books until the defense secured it with 3 plays. Fred Thomas stopping Oz Hakeem on 4th and 4. Chris Oldham's diving interception to give the Saints the ball again with 2:17 to play. And then Darren Howard's sack to end it, preserving the win and a share of first place.
Back to the NO we go.
Number 1 in the division, baby. Number 1. It was a great feeling that I can help my team out like that. And like I was telling everybody else, man, this is a tough team, and we refuse to lay down for anybody. Nobody gave us a chance to win this game with all the people that we lost this beginning of the year. So, I mean, it's a great atmosphere to work in right here. These people around here never give up.
It's a great win, but we're waiting for right now. We're up on the division, and we got to keep fighting. And what I like about it, the young guys they brought in just step in, and they're hungry. They just want to play football.
All the way, baby. All right, baby. We got each other. Back home, we coming back to the swamp.
And Marshall Faulk normally averages 161 yards and 23 touches today. Touched it only 10 times for 43 yards. And the Saints did a great job moving the chains. They were 10 of 18 on third down, 55%. The Rams just 3 of 10. And look at the time of possession, almost double, almost 40 minutes for the Saints, just over 20 for the Rams. And the Saints, for the second straight week, have done a great job replacing Ricky by committee. Gerald Moore, Chad Morton, Aaron Brooks, and Terrell Smith for a total of 150 yards. And what is left for our 2 8-4 teams? The Saints, 3 of their 4 at home. The Rams, 3 of their 4 on the road, and they host Minnesota in a couple of weeks. 12-year veteran lineman and the man under center today with Aaron Brooks, Jerry Fontenot, our guest tonight. And I know this was a big week for you because a lot of players in the locker room today talked about, well, Jerry said, well, Jerry said. You were pretty fired up this week and today for this victory.
They're blaming it on me?
No, they're giving you some credit. Probably well-deserved. But were you a little extra keyed up this week? Did you talk to the team?
Well, individually, the offensive line, you know, I kind of got the guys together before the game, and, you know, it just felt like during the week of practice, Wednesday was a little sluggish. Thursday got a little bit better, but it still wasn't there. And by Friday, we had things back together. And, you know, with the new quarterback and Aaron in there kind of run the show, we needed a little bit of fire, I think, to get things going.
Aaron Brooks, can you say any more? 17 of 29, 190 yards, 1 sack.
He's willing to do whatever it takes to win a football game. And we definitely felt like we had them on the ropes by the end of the first half. We knew it was going to be a dogfight because they have such an explosive offense. And one of the keys in the beginning of the week, Jim said, was to keep their offense off of the field. And obviously we did that today. And even still, with as little times they had on the field, they put 24 points on the board. So that is an extremely good team.
For the third week in a row, you've lost a starter. Fred Weary gone for the year. Corey Terry as well. Gerald Moore was out in the second half Fred McAfee. You guys had one healthy running back in Chad Morton as far as tailback. I mean, you guys are taking this adversity thing to heart. I mean, it's getting a little, it's almost a little scary.
We're definitely taking it to a new level. Guys are being able to step in. The young guys, I can't say enough for. Chad, Gerald, and now, you know, I'm sure that Terry Allen will get some
he'll certainly
PT now.
This week, wasn't activated this week, but certainly will be next week, and maybe even look around some more if you're Randy Mueller, which he tends to do, to bring somebody else in at this point.
They sure do. I mean, they do whatever it takes all the way through the organization.
All right, we'll have more with Saints veteran center Jerry Fontenot when we come back as we go to break. Your score by quarters, and when we return. All right, take a look at the NFC playoff race. Minnesota leads to the Central. Philadelphia still with the slim lead in the East. And the Saints, because they have the tie-breaking edge head-to-head with the St. Louis Rams, will give them the edge right now in the NFC West. And two other tie-breaking notes. Saints 5-0 in the division, 7-2 in the NFC. Detroit also 8-4, 7-2 in the NFC. And they have that head-to-head win over the Saints. The Giants, who won tonight, 8-4. Washington and Tampa Bay, both 7-5 and both 5-4. In the NFC. To an extent, the Saints rolled the dice a bit, having Aaron Brooks, who had never started an NFL game, as their backup. But today, rolled a 7 with Brooks at the helm, and then another, and another. Jim Henderson has more on the dynamic debut.
Do a great job. I thought it was only vital for me to go in and show them guys that, you know, we haven't lost a beat.
In St. Louis, Jim Henderson, 4th down and 4.
And time now for Chalk Talk. And the question comes from Danny Collette in Grand Bay. How many sacks do the Saints have after today's game? Well, Jerry was playing in the game, so I did the math homework. They have 55 sacks now. The team record is 59. The NFL record is 72 sacks by the Chicago Bears. The Saints are on pace right now to finish with 73. So they would set the NFL record at this pace. So, Danny, there's your answer. 55 right now after 6 today. And I'm sure you've talked about, you can't say that about this offense and this offensive line and everybody else, the young guys. How about the defense?
Our defense is phenomenal. We knew that we had something special defensively coming into preseason. We practiced against those guys in camp, and it's not an easy chore. It makes us a better football team as a result. And our defense is just, they do some amazing things. I mean, with the turnovers, the impact that they have on games is phenomenal. And they're doing everything and more that we could ever ask of them.
This past week and the last couple of weeks, because of the injuries, has letting the players say, well, somebody's going to have to step up. Somebody's going to have to step up. Fred Thomas, 4th and 4, stops Oz Hakeem. And
coaching and the players get out there and they're so athletic, they get it done.
I want to take you back a few weeks. San Francisco, this is part of the win streak now. End of the first quarter, you guys had been driving, playing well, dominating the football game. But you're getting ready to score. End of the quarter now, you're on like the 2. Quarter ends. How old are you? Come on.
33.
33?
Yeah. I was at that point.
You really? 30. You led the offensive line, and I watched this in a full sprint from one end of that field to the other, into the quarter, but it was an exuberance that you don't normally see, and it kind of made me think that for a time, it wasn't about money, it wasn't about contracts, it was 11 little boys playing the same game they played when they were 10 years old, and it just, you couldn't wait to take that next snap. Is that accurate?
Well, when things are going your way, yeah. You know, it's certainly been, the shoe's been on the other foot last couple of seasons, but now, I mean, there's a different motivation, there's a different feeling all the way through the organization. And yeah, I mean, it's always nice to be able to be in a position where you're excited about playing football, and it does bring it down to a different level because, I mean, off-season is enough to worry about money and all that stuff, so we can go out there and have fun now.
You guys, it's one thing to talk about aggressiveness and to want to be an aggressive offense and the play calling and the fake punt that didn't work, but you still did it. You know, this team certainly has taken up Jim Haslett's philosophy, lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah. I mean, Jim, as I said, is a risk taker, and we're kind of following that. Although I must say, Mike, that I knew we were going to win the game way in advance of the game ever starting. On Thursday night, my daughter and I were out on the back patio, and she looked up in the sky, and it was a beautiful night, clear, and she saw a star in the sky. And she said, "Daddy, can I make a wish?" And I said, "Sure." So she made a wish, and I said, "What'd you wish for?" She goes, "I wish for my daddy to win the football game." So,
hey, look, it's supposed to be a clear week. There'll be plenty of stars out there. The Denver Broncos come in this week, another AFC team, still a ways away from a sellout, but this is one of those things, one of this machine like you got on the 6-game roll. Keep it going.
Hey, New Orleans deserves this, so let's go out and do it again.
Jerry, thanks very much for coming down on 4th Down and 4.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
it. How far?
From WWL-TV Channel 4, this is 4th Down on 4. Now, here's Mike Hoss.
Hello and welcome to 4th Down on 4. A record day for one Bronco, meant for a miserable day in the Superdome for the Saints and a sellout crowd. The Saints, now 6-1 on the road, are now 2-4 at home, following a 38-23 drubbing by Denver. The Saints lose the game, but remain in a tie for first place in the NFC West. The one bright spot in a day where very little went right.
I told him that stuff happens in this league. You want my exact words? I said, you got your ass kicked. Stuff happens in this league.
We need this win today.
Sometimes you're not as bad as you think you are. In this case, you're not as good as you think you are. And they definitely humbled us today. Is it the end of the world? No. Still got 3 great teams to play. Still got a shot to get into the playoffs, but today, they kicked our butts.
Saints will come back. Saints will come back.
If at first you don't succeed, you can dust it off and try again. Dust yourself off and try again, try again.
The Saints will try and forget the pounding they took from a Bronco offense led by rookie running back Mike Anderson, who carried it 37 times for an NFL rookie record 251 yards, scoring a Bronco and Superdome record 4 touchdowns.
We couldn't stop him, Ricky, on defense, period, all right? You had 283 yards rushing. You got to do something to try to combat it. We just couldn't stop him.
I've never seen that. I mean, I was sometimes, some of those, plays, I was amazed to even see him there, just looking at I have to really go back and look at the film on that, but I was amazed at times.
With the Broncos stuffing the run box with 8 and 9 players, the Saints abandoned their ground game with the last handoff to a running back, coming with the score tied at 7 and 12 minutes left in the second quarter.
It kills you, because we've been running the ball so much and so good. It just, you get confidence when you run the ball, and they kept pounding the ball. And like I said, they dominated us.
After the Saints closed the gap to 14-10 in the second stanza, the Broncos needed only 2 plays to go 69 yards and hit pay dirt again, pushing their lead to 11 points.
They came out and they beat us. Hey, got to take your hat out to the Broncos. They're a good to great team. They came out and they showed why. We can't allow that to happen on our home. We have to come out and play better than that.
On the ensuing kickoff, Kevin Mathis, in for the injured Chad Morton, fumbled. The Saints challenged the call but lost. And Anderson took advantage, scoring from 7 yards out as Denver put up 28 first-half points. The Saints couldn't prevent the Broncos from scoring touchdowns once in the red zone.
No, I don't know about manhandle. I wouldn't say manhandle. We just didn't play very well today. We didn't play our best ball, and that happens sometimes. It's a long season.
With Aaron Brooks throwing on every play, the Saints moved the ball, but were unable to keep pace with the touchdown-scoring Broncos with 3 Doug Bryan field goals.
The bottom line is we didn't score touchdowns when we had to. We kicked field goals. But he threw the ball. He threw for 440 yards, which is pretty good. But we didn't win the game. We didn't accomplish what we want. We don't play that type of game.
In just his 3rd game, Brooks threw for more yards, 441, than any Saint quarterback before him. Hollow numbers following a one-sided loss.
Yeah, I'll take a win anytime. We just played a tough team. We fought hard, but at the same time, we played a great team. They did some excellent things.
Dust yourself off and try again. You can dust it off and try again, try again. So at first you don't succeed. You can dust it off and try again. Dust yourself off and try again, try again.
We can't let this be a damper on our spirits because we still control our destiny, and that's what's important right now.
You're in first place!
Come back next week.
And rewriting the record books today, Mike Anderson, 251 yards, 4 touchdowns, an NFL rookie record, the most yards rushing against a Saints team ever, and a Denver single game record. And Aaron Brooks, 441 yards, a couple of touchdowns, 2 INTs. He breaks Archie Manning's mark, one single game record of 377 yards. The Saints running back by committee didn't touch it much today. Gerald Moore 1 carry, Chad Morton 3, Terry Allen 1 for 0, Terrell Smith 1 for -3. Without Aaron Brooks' 13 yards, the Saints only with 8 yards rushing. Field position definitely to Denver's side. They started the average of the 36. They win the time of possession battle, and also 15 rushing first downs for Denver, only 1 for the Saints. On the bright side, Joe Horn, 10 catches, 170 yards, the first Saints receiver to cross the 1,000-yard barrier since Quinn Early did it back in 1995. Alex Molden, the Saints cornerback who started today, our guest tonight, and Denver's a good football team, 9-4 now. You can certainly deal with losing to a good football team, maybe not so much in how that you lost to them today, because it was quite dominating on one side.
Exactly. You know, they made a conscious effort to stick with the run game, and they did it, you know, and, you know, when you can put us in second and short and third and short, you know, that's not the style of, you know, defense that you can call, you know, blitzing plays or things like that. You know, they was getting a lot of yards on first down and, you know, a lot of long yardage, you know, from you know, us missing tackles, you know. So, you know, they pretty much came out and out-physicaled us today.
Mike Anderson, as I talked to players this week prior to the game, most guys were like, I don't know much about him. I'll look at him on film. And talking to him today, they say film doesn't do justice to the speed and the size of this guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's you know, he is a big back with you know, with some speed. And you know, I watched him, you know, a little bit this season, you know, breaking some runs. You know, last week he, you know, he broke a couple, but you know, it was just poor tackling. You know, their line, you know, was chopping our front off and cutting off the backside, and there was some big holes in there.
Jim Haslett talked about it, and you just kind of mentioned it as well. You had some opportunities, even not so much even with Anderson, but on some of the tight ends, or the touchdown to Carswell and the other tight end on the other side. Again, you had some chances, but missed tackles, and missed tackles turned into what would have been a 5-yard gain into, you know, long gains.
Exactly, and you know, we haven't done that this year, you know, with missing tackles like we did today. And, you know, we didn't play great red zone defense, which we, you know, pretty much pride ourselves on. And, you know, we just got to, you know, learn from the mistakes and, you know, go watch the film and try to, you know, not let this happen again.
Take a look at a couple of plays in the first half. After they had scored to go up 21-10, Kevin Mathis, who was in for Chad Morton, fumbled the kickoff, challenged it, lost it. They took it right in for points. I mean, you know, that was a big little momentum swing because they scored 2 touchdowns, bang, bang, right on you.
Exactly. You know, with those or that turnover, and then with the one when Kevin caught the guy from behind.
Right.
And you know, we thought we had a turnover, but they, you know, they challenged the call and they ended up getting the ball again in the red zone.
When you saw this one from Kevin, did you feel like he was down? When you saw the one on the kickoff, did you think he was down?
Yeah, I thought he was down from watching the big screen. You know, I thought it was a good call of coach, you know, throwing the red flag. So.
At the end of the half, which was crazy end of the half, the pass from Aaron Brooks to Robert Wilson, who had a great day, 8 catches, 122 yards. And I'm not laying this at Robert Wilson's feet because he made a great play, but he doesn't get into the end zone. He gets down to the 2. You take the 3, but from a big, broader scope and momentum, man, that would have been so big. Could he have gotten into the end zone?
Yeah. I mean, it was huge. You see him, he had a tremendous amount of speed going with him. You know, he thought he can beat the guy. You know, he had a great effort on him, but you know, he was inches away.
Yeah, certainly. Did you think anybody could have run the ball as Denver did against this defense?
I didn't think so. You know, going into the game, I thought we was going to dominate them. You know, we knew that, you know, they were going to try to run the ball at us, and you know, we was up for the challenge. But I think the way their line, you know, their style that they had, you know, was the first time we've seen all year. And you know, we had guys kind of over-pursuing, overplaying some plays, and you know, after a while, guys was trying to do a little bit more, trying to do the other guy's job. And whenever you can get a defense like that, you know, it really hurts. You know, you start to get into play action, you get safeties biting or linebackers biting, and you know, I had a couple of big plays on the bootleg. So, you know, you just got to play disciplined football.
All right, sit tight, Alex. We'll have more with Alex Molden when we return. And when we come back, it's the NFC playoff picture. How much did today's loss hurt the Saints? And Jim Basketball takes a closer look at just how Mike Anderson hurt the Saints in the trenches. Stay with us. All right, here's the NFC playoff picture. Minnesota's already in. They've clinched at least a spot. They're 11-2. The Giants now lead in the NFC East. Actually, it would have been better had Philadelphia continued to win because remember the Eagles beat the Saints. New Orleans in the West right now, 8-5. They're 5-0 in the division, 7-2 in the NFC, and they're the Eagles at 9-5. St. Louis lost again today. So St. Louis, like the Saints, 8-5, but their division record is worse. So is their NFC record. Detroit losers on Thursday. Tampa Bay beat Dallas today. Last week, Denver's Mike Anderson set the NFL single-game rookie rushing record with 195 yards against Seattle. Today, he broke it again by 56 yards, the fourth best rushing day in NFL history. The Saints didn't know much about Mike Anderson in preparation. Now, as Jim Basketball reports, they know all too much.
It was a rough day at the office today.
Mike Anderson bursting through a hole, and he's in. Touchdown, Broncos.
That long day came courtesy of a Denver front line that paved the way for a career day from an ex-Marine.
You know, we said it all week that their center and their two guards are good football players, and you know, we have to be on top of our game. We didn't play well. We didn't tackle well, and they beat us.
No running back ever ran on the Saints like Bronco rookie Mike Anderson. He used the middle of the field for the brunt of his 251 yards. 4 of those 37 carries take him to the end zone. The Saints defense came in third against the run, so this was tough to swallow.
That's something we obviously take pride in, is being able to stop the run. And we did a horrible job of it today, myself included.
We didn't expect it today. We didn't expect, you know, not being able to stop it. I mean, they planned us perfectly and, you know, just slashed us to death.
Broncos key on offense, running Anderson at the Saints' strength between the tackles, going the way of both Glover and Hand. First half, he ran right up the gut on a pair of third down runs for scores that helped break the Saints back. Part of the reason they were gutted for 283 ground yards was the sore foot that eventually sent Norman Hand to the sideline. His mates thought that was a big factor. His coach had a different take.
No, they just beat us. They make a difference who was in there. We could put dummies in there. We want to stop them.
While the Saints didn't run the entire second half, the Broncos only passed 6 times. With today's gaudy results, it's hard to blame them. Jim Basketball, 4th down on 4.
And time now for Chalk Talk. It comes in from Robert Bagnetto and Metairie. What are the tiebreaker rules for teams tied for a playoff spot, and are the Saints in a favorable position for a tiebreak? Well, let's try to break it down as simply as we can. For a division tiebreak, first off, this is just the top 3. It's head-to-head. Then it's the best division record. Then it's your best record in the NFC conference. As far as wild card ties, first off, head-to-head if applicable. Then it's your best conference record. Then the best record against common opponents, a minimum of 4. As far as how the Saints look at this juncture, well, they're in pretty good shape. Look at just the Saints and Rams in a 2-team race. Great division record, 7-2 in the NFC. Rams who lost today and to an NFC opponent. So certainly, Alex, when you left today, you were 8-5, but the Eagles lost today, the Lions lost Thursday, the Rams lose today as well. You still are in control of your own destiny, and that's the key at this point.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we really couldn't get down on ourselves in the locker room. I don't know the whole playoff picture, who has to win, who has to lose to get the best scenario, but some of the coaches were like, hey, the Rams lost. Some of the teams that we needed to lose lost, and so we still are in control. I'm in control, and we don't have to really wait around and watch and see who's winning or losing. But
certainly a big week when a team exposes a weakness, maybe not even a weakness today, but when they have success, the Niners are going to get this and go, okay, now they have a game plan. How much of that is true? How much of that is myth? I mean, can they really do that, the Niners?
I think that they're going to try to if they're smart, to try to on the same blocking scheme. You know, I don't know how far or how much that's going to be in their game plan, but you know, they're going to try it, and they're going to try to, you know, they're going to try to change it up on what they did to us the first time.
Which was bad. Not very much good in that first Niner game.
Yeah. So you know, they're going to change some things up, and you know, I think we might see a little bit more running from them.
Certainly Norman Hand's situation, he's got the sprained foot, played sparingly today. That changes a lot, and it's not an excuse for this team, but now you can double team Leroy and you lose the size of a guy in Hand in there. It does change things.
Yeah, you know, having a big guy in there like Norm, you know, he can, you know, create a pile. You know, he can get that push. You know, with him and Glover, you know, pushing the pile back and doing the run or the pass. But yeah, today, you know, it would have been nice to have him in there, you know, the whole time.
All right, Niners next week. Niners scored 45 points today. Good luck. They went on the road next week.
All right,
all right, Alex, thanks for coming down on 4th Down on 4.
Who the better team was yesterday, huh?
Now, the Saints are beaten soundly in every way, Dennis. When you lose all 3 phases of the game, as the Saints did yesterday, a one-sided defeat is likely to follow. That's just what the Saints suffered through yesterday as the Broncos beat them in every conceivable way. But Jim Haslett said the outcome still came down to one area of the field where the Saints performed poorly, an area where they had previously played very well.
We each had 5 possessions in the red zone. Their 5 possessions, they scored 4 touchdowns and a field goal. Our 5 possessions, we scored 1 touchdown, a missed field goal, and 3 field goals. So a 31 to 15-point swing in the red zone is what it boiled down to.
Washington Redskin owner Daniel Snyder couldn't resist scratching where it itches today, and he's been itching to fire Norv Turner for some time. Today he did, replacing him on an interim basis with the team's passing game coordinator, former LSU running back Terry Robisky. The Skins fell to 7-6 with a 9-7 loss to the Giants yesterday, putting the most expensive team in football that was a preseason choice to win the Super Bowl in danger of missing the playoffs altogether. The major college coaching carousel spun again today. Jim Donnan was fired at Georgia after 5 seasons. He leaves after a 7-4 season in his 5th year. Failure to beat traditional rivals Georgia Tech, Florida, and Tennessee enough to satisfy disgruntled alumni sealed his fate. Alabama formally fills its vacancy with Dennis Franchione of TCU, while John Makovic leaves the broadcasting booth to return to the sideline with the Arizona Wildcats. Tonight, we begin our week-long salute to the WWL All-District 5A football teams as selected by the area coaches. We begin with the All-District 6 offense. Slidell's Brian Estes is the All-District 6 5A center. Justin Sanders of Covington and Mandeville's Jason Bayham are the guards. The tackles are Robert Daniels of Hammond and Matt Edwards from Mandeville. Hammond's Hinson Lano is the All-District tight end. Hammond teammates DJ Jackson and Bryce Albritton are the receivers. The running backs include Mandeville's Michael Johnson, Hammond's Wyatt Vial, and Covington's Brian Williams. The quarterback is Scott Eister from Hammond. Mandeville's Mike Sandoz is the kicker. Michael Johnson of Mandeville is the return specialist. The District 6 Coach of the Year is Mandeville's Rodney Corcoran. And Wyatt Vial is the offensive MVP. After 4 consecutive preseason games and 12 competitive regular season games, the law of averages caught up with the Saints team yesterday that never caught up with Mike Anderson defensively and never caught on to the Broncos scheme offensively. The Saints were overdue for a clunker, and yesterday's was a doozy. It all begins and ends with running the football offensively and stopping it defensively, and when you do both worse than you have in any game this season, you figure to suffer your worst loss, and that's just what the Saints did yesterday. They also got a reminder that New Orleans isn't the only place where good coaching, good drafting, and the good fortune of playing a 5th-place schedule can result in a dramatic turnaround from one year to the next. Last season, the Denver Broncos were 6-10 and last in the AFC West. With yesterday's impressive victory, the Broncos are 9-4 and have a 5-game winning streak that could be stretched to 8 with Seattle, Kansas City, and San Francisco left on their regular season schedule. No Brian Griese, no Terrell Davis, no Shannon Sharp, no number 3 receiver, no Olandis Gary. No problem for the Broncos at the moment. Denver has now scored 38 points in 3 consecutive games. The Saints held them to 483 yards in total offense yesterday. They've had 500 in each of their last 2 games before that. In Oakland and Denver, the Saints have seen the best of the West in 2 of the last 3 weeks, and they've accounted for New Orleans' only 2 losses in their last 9 games. But the Saints, despite yesterday's drubbing, remain the best of the West in the NFC. And thankfully, that's back where they'll be for the final 3 games of the season. Back to the mild West, where the Saints are 5-0, the only team unbeaten in its division. Back to enemy territory, where the Saints are the rage of the road, 6-1, the NFL's best road record. Reality slapped everybody, every last one of the Saints and their fans, upside the head yesterday. The Saints ship took a hit and sprang a leak. It can be repaired, but we all must be prepared to face the consequences if it isn't. This is not the Exxon Valdez, but it isn't the good ship Lollipop anymore either. Dennis?
Reality check.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
With the Saints' first winning season in 8 years safely tucked in his back pocket, Jim Haslett could have used the 3-hour flight home last night from San Francisco to catch up on some much-needed sleep. Instead, he made his way down the aisle to the back of the plane. The coaches were in first class, but the players were in coach. And the coach, who hasn't forgotten what it's like to be a player, wanted to share in the celebration of both. Along the way, he stopped to savor the moment with sponsors, supporters, and staffers, as he routinely does. The common touch hasn't been lost in this uncommonly good season when the Saints rarely have. An astonishing 7 of 8 flights home have been spent celebrating wins, none sweeter than yesterday's. Someday you can catch up on your sleep, but memories are made of this. There is no substitute for victory, General Douglas MacArthur once said. No one who contributes to or cares about Saints football could possibly disagree. It's the greatest intoxicant in the world because the hangover is nearly as pleasant as the high. This one figures to hang on all week, and nobody's complaining. As you flew home, enveloped in the warm cocoon of victory, you didn't need to sleep to dream. In this dream season, every apparent calamity is transformed into opportunity. Ricky Williams goes down with a broken ankle, but while he heals his ankle, he heals his shoulders and other assorted bumps and bruises as well. And during the time, the Saints win enough to put themselves in position for postseason, where it looks like he can come back and contribute. Who knows? Maybe fresher than he ever would have been had he not been injured. Jeff Blake goes down with a broken foot, and in his absence, Aaron Brooks blooms into one of the most explosive young talents in the league at the position. The Saints find their quarterback of the future, and the present isn't sacrificed. It may actually have been enhanced. A song of the season says, "This is the most wonderful time of the year." 1 year ago, with 2 games remaining, it was because that season was almost over. 1 year later, it's because this season isn't over yet and may not be for a while. And that's Look at Sports.
That's great, Jim. Well, we're in.
From WWL-TV Channel 4, this is 4th Down on 4. Now, here's Mike Hoss.
Hello and welcome to 4th Down on 4. The Saints record their first season sweep over the Niners since 1979 and recording a franchise record 7th road win, securing their first winning season since 1992. A wild, unbelievable finish today as the Saints win 31-27. A win next Sunday at home in the Dome against the Falcons will put the Saints into the playoffs for the first time since, again, 1992. That didn't seem possible on more than one occasion today, but with this team, this season, anything seems possible.
When we got down, you could see it on their faces that we were hanging in there.
The Niners, in fact, dominated for 3 quarters and scored twice in the 4th quarter, but it still wasn't enough to hold down the never-say-die Saints.
The first half, probably he didn't play very well, and then he kind of got in the groove. It was the same with the offense, and the line started knocking people off the line of scrimmage, and that's our type of game.
Late in the 3rd quarter, the Saints tied the game at 14 when Brooks found tight end Andrew Glover for the 15-yard score, and then Terry Allen ran in the 2-point conversion.
He's a proven back, and for us to count on him, a veteran back, we thought he did an outstanding job with the help of with myself using my feet. We just thought it had to be done somehow.
The Niners regained the momentum when Jeff Garcia hit Terrell Owens for a 69-yard touchdown, giving San Francisco a seemingly comfortable 27-17 lead despite missing the extra point. But Brooks marched the Saints downfield in 3 minutes, avoiding a mad rush to find Willie Jackson 22 yards downfield in the end zone to close the gap to 27-24.
You can't say enough about the guys today. I mean, they laid their hearts on the line, and like I said, I mean, the character of this team, you can't speak high enough about it because it's something that's real special. I've never been around the character of some guys like we have in this locker room.
Whiteout Joe Horn felt nice.
With the heart that we got, I guarantee we're going to come back and win it. Now, I'm not Ali or Joe Namath, but that's just the way I was feeling. That's the way my heart was pumping at the time.
Down 3 points with 3 minutes to play, the Saints went for it on 4th and 4 from their own 38. And again, Brooks made the gutsy call pay off with another mad scramble for a first down.
We were going to punt it, and I decided against it because we still had 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. We decided to go for it because if we held them to a field goal, we'd still be in pretty good shape.
I knew from right there it was on. We kind of felt the momentum start to change.
Saints recovered, allowing Terry Allen to score his first touchdown of the season, giving the Saints the victory.
We pulled together. Going through training camp, like I said, we had a stock. We all bought into that stock, and we didn't sell it. We stayed together. We care about each other, and when teams like that put out a challenge to us, we took it personal.
I knew we were gonna take it home. That's what I'm talking about. We'll see you back home, New Orleans. We represented today. 60 minutes, baby.
And certainly a tale of two halves today. The Saints 98 yards in the first half, 290 in the second half, 169 through the air. Joe Horn caught 5 passes, over 100 yards. He's now in first place for a Saints single-season yardage for he passing Eric Martin, over 1,164 now for Joe Horn. And Aaron Brooks, 108 yards rushing today, the first Saints quarterback to rush for over 100 yards. And Darren Howard, the rookie, 1 sack today. That gives him 10 on the season, breaking Ronaldo Turnbull's rookie record of 9 set back in 1990. Saints corner. All right, here's the NFC playoff race. Minnesota lost today, but they're already in the Central. The Giants at 10-4 lead the East. New Orleans again 9-5 have the tiebreaker over St. Louis, lead the West. Philadelphia at 9-5, yet they've already clinched a spot in the playoffs. St. Louis and Tampa Bay both 9-5, and the key is, barring a tie next Monday night, one of those two is going to get a loss because St. Louis plays in Tampa Bay next Monday night. Detroit falls to 8-6 after a loss today. Last week, Aaron Brooks set a franchise passing record, but as we've said, in a losing effort. Today, his athleticism in the second half allowed the Saints to come back more than once. From San Francisco, Jim Henderson has more.
After a lackluster first half, Aaron Brooks began the second in exactly the same uninspired fashion. It was then that he had a heart-to-heart talk with himself, and the Saints got a heartbeat as a team.
I believe probably after the first series, the second series in the second half, the defense was playing great ball. I came out and I didn't do so well. I missed 2 throws I usually make. I just told myself I got to find myself. I got to put us in a situation where we feel like we have the best opportunity to win. And I found myself.
Brooks never got shook, but he shook up the Niners with feet that were faster than a Bourbon Street tap dancer. Some would call it scrambling, but Brooks begged to differ.
Quarterback that comes out of the pocket pretty much scrambles. We really don't look to run. I'm not a runner. I'm a quarterback that like to throw the ball and get necessary yards at appropriate times. And today, that's what you saw.
Time and again, Brooks bought time in the pocket, turning calamity into accomplishment. Jim Haslett had seen it before and welcomed seeing it again.
Well, I mean, that's one of his great attributes. He did that in college, and we noticed that, when we looked at him in college, and I thought he was a guy that kind of like Jeff Blake, that could get out of trouble and run around. He had 109 yards rushing today, which is amazing. But he's that type of guy. We'd like to have him sitting there a little bit more and throw the checkdowns and throw some balls, but he made plays when we needed him.
A 3-point first half was followed by a 28-point second, and a Saints victory for the ages. The Saints were left breathless in victory that breathed continued life into their playoff hopes.
I'm physically drained. I'm not the type of guy to show a lot of emotion. But a couple of hours from now, get on the plane, hit New Orleans, you see the big smile again. But right now, physically drained. We're really trying to keep this in perspective. We've done some great things. A big win for us today.
In San Francisco, Jim Henderson, 4th down on 4.
Put the team on offense. Put it on our back. We're going to go out here and take this game
On tonight's edition of 4th Down on 4, a playoff spot is so close the Saints can almost drink it. But just making the playoffs won't quench this team's thirst. Sammy Knight is in studio to discuss all possibilities from wild card to home field advantage.
From WWL-TV Channel 4, this is 4th Down on 4. Now here's Mike Hoss.
Hello and welcome to 4th Down on 4. The playoff drought is all but over. A victory by either Tampa Bay or St. Louis tomorrow puts the Saints in postseason for the first time since 1992. Sammy Knight, who scored a touchdown today, is our 4th Down guest tonight. The defense pitched a shutout. The offense did just enough. And the Saints, with their 23-7 win, can still win the division, get a playoff bye, and have the home field throughout the playoffs. But that's down the line. And this team refuses to look anywhere past next week.
That's all we want. That's it. Saints #1, baby. Party people, are you with me? Party people, are you with me? Party people, are you with me?
There's 3 phases to this business. 1 is get into the playoffs. Number 2 is to get seeded, and number 3 is to win the damn thing. So we got one of them. We're going to go figure out where we're seeded here in the next week, and then we're going to try to win the thing. I don't know if we can, but we're going to try.
Ain't no stopping this. Nah, ain't no stopping this. Nah, ain't no stopping this. No way, ain't no stopping this.
The Saints are all but assured of a postseason spot, providing sweet vindication for a team not predicted to be so prosperous so soon.
Nobody expected this, outside of this room. I mean, we come into training camp, we work hard. Everybody wants to win. We expect to win every Sunday because we put our hard work in. Nobody expects to go into a game and lose. We've put in our time. We've put in our effort to get to where we are today, and it's just a satisfying moment for us right now, making the playoffs.
The Saints dominated the first half, but the only touchdown came from the defense as Sammy Knight picked off Doug Johnson, returning it 31 yards for a 10-0 lead.
Huge play, huge momentum swing early in the ball game. To get an interception like that and run it back for a touchdown is what it's all about.
Sandwiching that play were 2 missed opportunities. A fumbled exchange by Aaron Brooks and Terry Allen at the 1 cost the Saints points. And another 1st and goal at the 2 produced only a field goal. But after assessing Atlanta early, Jim Haslett was not worried.
From the jump start, I didn't think this team had a chance against us just because of the way we were playing. And, I know we gave up some points early, but I just never had that feeling that we were in trouble at all.
Defensive tackle Norman Hand returned to the lineup, and his presence helped ignite a defense that held Atlanta to 64 yards rushing and only 163 yards overall.
We wanted to make a statement today. We wanted to shut Atlanta out, and we did that. And, those guys work hard. Atlanta didn't fold it. They gave us a battle. We had some key turnovers in the red zone that really helped us out today.
Smash mouth, physical type of football. I mean, Jamal Anderson's a good running back. He gave it all he had out there today. But we were able to put some good licks on him, try to rattle him a little bit. The same with the 2 quarterbacks they played. And so we got to do it again next week.
After the Falcons returned the second-half kickoff for a score, the 4th touchdown the Saints special teams unit has given up this season, Brooks and company answered, driving 75 yards, scoring on a Terry Allen 2-yard run. And any thought of an Atlanta comeback ended in the hands of Alex Molden, who picked off Chris Chandler with the Falcons inside the 20.
That's the best play I've ever seen him make. He was the most athletic play. I mean, it was a great play, great coverage. He had the presence to knock it and then catch it, double clutch it. I think that was a big play of the game.
Making just his 4th start, Aaron Brooks was sacked only once, hitting on 25 of 34 passes for 285 yards, including a 52-yarder to Joe Horn, who had over 100 yards receiving for the 3rd straight game.
And throw the ball deep and back the receivers off, not knowing when we're going to go deep. It's just a plus. It's just a plus. That way we can be able to run the ball without getting the 8th, 9th element into the box so we can run the ball. So it is an added dimension.
Ain't no stopping this. Nah, ain't no stopping this. No, ain't no stopping this. Never ever no, ain't no stopping this. Nah.
The Saints are now only a St. Louis loss tomorrow night from winning their 2nd NFC West crown. Sweet words to a guy like Willie Roaf, who will make his 7th Pro Bowl appearance but his first in the playoffs.
Very happy and everything, but it's funny, you know, you're happy, but it's kind of a relief off your back for the whole city, the community, but then we're focused though. I mean, it's funny, it's like you're happy, but you're not content. I mean, it's been so long that we've been where we have been for these years that we just want to stay focused and try to finish it.
A team with great focus, led by a first-year head coach who never saw it coming.
No, I had no idea. I didn't know we had water coolers. I just get the glass.
You gotta believe, baby. You gotta believe.
Playoff, baby. Here we come.
Playoff bound, baby. Ain't no stopping this. Nah, nah. Ain't no stopping this. Nah, nah. Ain't no stopping this. Never ever know. Ain't no stopping this.
And the Saints certainly had the numbers on their side early. Look at the domination in the first quarter. 124 yards. The Falcons zilch in the first quarter, but it was scoreless after the first quarter. And Joe Horn just keeps getting into that record book. 7 more catches today, moved into first place for Saints receptions in one season. Now with 89, Eric Martin was in the top spot with 85. And the Saints registered 5 more sacks today, totaling 63. That is a new team record. That used to be 59, set back in 1997. The NFL record, however, is 72, the Bears, back in 84. And Sammy Knight's interception for a touchdown was the 4th of his career. That is also setting a new team record. Cornerback Brett Maxey had the old record with 3. And Sammy Knight, who now owns that record, our guest tonight. And the Saints are a tie away from tomorrow night of getting in the playoffs. It won't happen. So has it sunk in a little bit yet, Saints in the playoffs?
You know, yeah, it actually has. You know, we've been focused the whole year, and we've been talking about the playoffs the whole time. So, you know, we've just been, I guess, rolling right along. So a lot of people didn't really believe in us, and you know, we come out and we've shown that we are a quality team. Have you guys used that motivation at all? I heard that a lot today. Nobody expected us. Nobody thought we could do it. I mean, have you used that as motivation? Definitely. You know, anytime your people underestimate you, you want to show them that you're better than what you are, and and especially in the NFL, the main thing you want is respect. And last couple of years we haven't had the respect of our peers, and the only way to get the respect is to take it, and the only way you can take it is by beating them. And we've done that so far. I went into the locker room today thinking we'd get some great playoff celebration type post-game sound bites. And the sound bites would start, yeah, we're really happy. And then it would be right into the Ram game. Like It was like, we're happy, hey, but the Rams, I mean, the focus is just so amazingly sharp. You know what, we're happy to go to playoffs, but we're not satisfied. We set out to win our division this year, and we won't be happy until we did that. And we want to get into the playoffs, and when we get into the playoffs, we want to win the Super Bowl. But you have to take it one step at a time, and the first step we have to take is by winning our division. But you think about guys like Willie Roaf, 93, he's been here. Joe Johnson since 94, Mark Field since 95. I mean, this has got to be sweet for them. Yeah, it's really big for them because, they've been here through the gutter years. I came in 97 and, we won a couple games and we had a chance to go into the playoffs in 98. So it wasn't as bad until last year when we bottomed out. But before that, we still had a pretty good team, but before that, they're 2-12, 1-16, 1-15. They have some terrible teams. So, I mean, it's great to see those guys finally, have a winning season. All right, Sammy, sit tight. Barring a tie again tomorrow night, the Saints have clinched a playoff spot today. And throughout the show, we'll look back at the other 4 playoff-clinching games the Saints have enjoyed. And also lots more with Saints safety Sammy Knight. When we return, we'll talk about not one, but both of the plays made today by Knight that put the Saints into the record books.
From the Falcon 25-yard line. 3 wideouts to the right, 1 to the left. Johnson up under center. Now he drops straight back, well protected. Throws over the middle. This is going to be an interception. This is going to be a touchdown. Sammy Knight walks into the end zone.
And we are back with Saints safety Sammy Knight. You saw the touchdown there. That was, of course, your fourth, as we mentioned, the new Saints record. You weren't aware of the other record that you helped set today. That, of course, happened in the first quarter, sacking Doug Johnson. That was the 60th sack, and that set the new Saints record. What about that play? Saints safety blitz? How did that come about?
Just a safety blitz. Basically, you know, the gap opened up, and I was fortunate enough to get a hand on his leg. I saw I tripped him up, and you know, that's basically for all the D-linemen. You know, they've been after the quarterback the whole season, and so, you know, that was basically for them. You know, that was their award. You know, they earned it. Him and the linebackers. You know, they've been blitzing all year and giving us the DBs a short amount of time to cover. So that's great for us.
Doug Johnson just making his second start. Certainly the game plan, get at him early, and certainly that worked today. They had terrible field position early on. You guys were able to get to him quite often.
Well, you know, anytime you have a rookie quarterback, you want to go out and put pressure on him and make him make plays and, you know, give him a lot of different looks, and that's what we try to do in the secondary. And we knew that if we gave him different looks, he'd hold on to the ball, and that would allow our defensive line to get pressure on him.
Could you believe he threw the ball you picked off?
Not really, but when I was dropping down into the coverage, I don't think that he actually saw me. I think one of the linemen, defensive end, or somebody kind of got in his face, so he really couldn't see me. So I think that's why he threw it. I really couldn't believe that he threw it, but after he did, I was happy.
Now, that's your fourth in regular season games, but you've had 2 more in preseason, so 6 overall. Yet you've been catching some gruff about your touchdown celebration. You ought to be getting pretty good at it by now.
Yeah, you know, I got to work on my celebration. You know, I was a little fatigued there, so I kind of fell over, but that's just how the game goes.
Aaron Brooks, you know, first time really since he's been playing, no interceptions today, 24 of 35, 285 yards. He just kind of continues, don't want to use the word amazed, but just continues to impress.
You can't say enough about the guy. He's come in, he's done a great job for us, and, you know, you ask the guys around the team, they knew that Aaron was a confident quarterback throughout the whole season, you know. And given the opportunity, we knew that he was going to make plays. You know, he was our scout team quarterback going against us every day, and he was killing us defensively, so we knew that, you know, he was capable of doing the job. And this is when we were ranked #1 defense in the league, you know, and he was still putting dimes in against all of us. So we knew that he was definitely capable of doing it. It was just a matter of him going out and getting an opportunity.
Norman Hand back today, how big of a factor?
I guess, you know, the scoreboard really showed it. You know, Norman Hand is our big run stopper. It's no secret. You know, he stops the run for us. He helps free Glover up to make plays, and he helps free Joe Johnson and D. Howard up to make plays. So, you know, he's a great addition to our defense this year, and he's been playing great all year.
We will have more with Sammy Knight when we come back. We'll also look at the playoff possibilities when we return, and to next week's Christmas Eve clash with the defending Super Bowl champ, the St. Louis Rams. And they were a team of destiny last year. Could the Saints fit that description this year? Jim Baskell explores that next.
Oh, when the Saints go marching in, now when the Saints go marching in, yes,
they're going to play 2 in a row. Vince Evans is back in and has an intercepted by Brett
Playoff situation right now. Minnesota is in, of course. They're at 11-4. You see the 8-4 NFC record. Philadelphia 8-4 in the NFC. The Saints, of course, get in as long as St. Louis and Tampa don't tie tomorrow. The Giants won tonight. They win the East. You see St. Louis and Tampa both 9-5. You also see on the right-hand side, the Saints have a great NFC record at 9-2. That puts them in good shape. Detroit still hanging on at 9-6. If you wonder how the Saints have to do to be the #1 seed and host throughout the playoffs, they must beat the Rams next week. The Giants lose against Jacksonville, and the Vikings lose at Indianapolis. As those 3 things happen, the Saints will have a bye the first week, and they will host throughout the playoffs. In 1997, the Atlanta Falcons were 7-9, and then the following year went to the Super Bowl. In 1998, the St. Louis Rams, also of the NFC West, were 4-12, and the very next year won the Super Bowl. The Saints 3-13 last year, certainly still a ways away from a trip to Tampa, But as Jim Baskell reports, their hard work is paying off as many things are going their way.
For years, the Saints have been thought of as a cursed team, the only NFL franchise that's never won a playoff game, producing just 5 winning seasons in their 33-year history. Enter a new coach, and what you have is a reverse curse and perhaps a team of destiny. Consider today. Set to punt, Toby Goen thinks the play's called dead. Instead, what could have been a disaster is a New Orleans first down. Later, they face a 4th and 15. No problem. They get 17. In years gone by, this was a team that couldn't overcome a fumbled touchdown courtesy of a botched exchange, or missing 6 thanks to a tackle with stone hands. But this Saints team is different. They don't let a play or 2 get in their way. Well, how about a play or 3? Opening kickoff, second half.
He's at the 25. He's got a lot of speed. Going, stiff arm by Vaughn. Vaughn up to the races.
Derek Vaughn torches the special teams. This type of big play that lost a pair of games early, but not today, because this Saints team always has a response. Jim Haslett doesn't think this team is cursed, nor does he think it's a team of destiny. He just thinks this Y2K bunch of Saints is all about what hard work can produce.
I'll be honest with you. I'll go in tomorrow morning, watch the film, come in with the coaches, watch the film, talk to the players. We're going to come in and then game playing the Rams on Tuesday. I don't believe in all that stuff, to be honest with you. I think it's hard work. I think you gain success in this business through hard work. People don't know how hard it is to win a football game in this league.
It's not easy to win, but it is easy to take to a Saints team that's showing the past does not equal the future. Curses and destiny are words for others. They simply live by
hard work, determination, and a little attitude. You know, that's the key for us.
Reasons why, alas, the playoffs are here.
Playoffs, baby! Number 1! We're gonna take it, baby, going all the way, baby!
Jim Baskell, 4th down on 4.
And time now for Chalk Talk. The question comes in from Stan Colton in New Orleans. And who of the many Saints injured players are expected to play in any of the remaining scheduled games or, of course, the playoffs? And I guess the coaches will make that final decision. I think Ricky Williams' decision will be maybe based on what the St. Louis game means next week. I know he's been running and getting healthy and getting very close. What about guys like Jake Reed, who's been also injured but coming back?
You know, I guess that's the decision that Jim is going to have to make this week. Jake Reed's been out, and he's coming back. He's looking pretty good. So, you know, you have some decisions to make. You know, I think the offense is rolling really well right now, but anytime you could add a Jake Reed to the offense, it'll only help.
And Kyle Turley was talking today about you just don't realize what not having Ricky in there does to game planning and defenses, how defenses now go against the Saints offense.
Right. I'm sure, you know, they see a lot more pressure. I think they see Joe Horn getting double-teamed a little bit more. And, you know, they're really not forced to play the run as heavy as they would be with Ricky in there.
To say a team of destiny, it kind of almost implies that you didn't do it through hard work. But the way this season has gone, I mean, all of the injuries and the play calling, the 4th and 15s, the way it just seems like almost everything that this organization, from top to bottom, from Randy Mueller to Jim Haslett to all the players, has touched, has come out right. Do you kind of get that special season feeling?
Yeah, you get that special season feeling, but I think that, you know, that comes with hard work. You know, when you work hard and you put yourself in position, usually good things do happen. And that's what this team has done, not only this team, but this organization. You know, there's a lot of hard-fought hours from Tom Benson and Randy Mueller to Jim Haslett on down, you know, to the equipment chief and Silk. I mean, everybody's just, you know, giving their all to the season. So, you know, we're all very proud of the season we're having thus far, but we're not satisfied.
Let's talk about the Rams. Certainly, huge win for this football team to go up there and win. And there, if they win tomorrow night, certainly will be hungry when they come in here Sunday. Holt and Bruce and As-Hakim had a decent game the first time, but shutting down Marshall Faulk probably was the biggest factor.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest factor, and, you know, I think they know that, and so they'll probably come out and try and do some different things to get him the ball. Not only get him the ball, but I think they'll try and get a couple more big plays because, you know, that's what their offense depends on. And I think that, you know, having Kurt Warner back just brings that air of confidence back to their offense. And I just think that they'll be ready to play us next week, and we have to come out and play our best game of the season.
How much better or how much different are they with Kurt than with Trent?
I think, you know, Trent Green came out. He had a great game against us. I thought he played very well. And, you know, Kurt Warner played good against us last year also. So, I mean, I just think that, you know, our offense came out and really neutralized their offense. Like, we held the ball, we held onto the ball last game and for a long time, and we did really well offensively. And I think for us to have a win, we have to do that again.
Sammy, great game today.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck next Sunday against the Rams. Thanks a lot. What teams kept their playoff hopes alive? We will go around the NFL. NFL Lanyap when Fourth Down continues after this.
When the Saints go marching in, now when the Saints go marching in, yes, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching.
NFL Lanyap, Jerry Rice's farewell to 3Com Park. The 49ers receiver Terrell Owens, though, set an NFL record with 20 catches, 283 yards. Rice took home not only a game ball with him, also the victory as the Niners beat the Bears today, 17-0 the final score. Kicking was comical in snowy Buffalo, New York. The Patriots had an opportunity to win it in regulation, but Adam Vinatieri misses. Buffalo would get a chance to win it in overtime, but the Bills' kick is blocked. Vinatieri got a chance to redeem himself, and his 24-yard field goal with 19 seconds remaining in overtime, almost a tie had he missed this game, missed that field goal. 13-10 was the final. And finally, the San Diego Chargers did little right today against Carolina. The 30-22 loss to the Panthers dropped the Bolts to 1-14, but on the bright side, Charger fans, San Diego did solidify the first pick in the upcoming NFL draft. The Saints may make the playoffs tomorrow night, but their rematch with the Rams on Sunday could determine if they play the first weekend or get a bye. A lot still to be decided, and we will set it straight next Sunday night on a Christmas Eve edition of Fourth Down on 4. Good night, everyone.
About Saints injuries, and the news is pretty encouraging.
That's novel for a change, isn't it? The prospect of getting people back rather than losing them will be an issue Jim Haslett will happily address this week. Jake Reed's expected to return to action now that his broken leg has mended. As for Ricky Williams, it looks from this early week vantage point like he'll remain a spectator for the Rams.
I would think right now he's not going to play. I'm just, you know, you guys making, I mean, he hasn't even done anything the last 3 days, so you know, I hear the stuff he's going to play this week and all that. And I would say right now, if you want to answer, I'd just say he's out, and let's leave it at that and see how he goes this week.
The phone in Marquise Hill's home started ringing September 1st and hasn't stopped until today. This afternoon, the 6'8" defensive lineman verbally committed to the LSU Tigers and put an end to recruiters' calls. The 305-pound lineman is considered by most recruiting publications as one of the nation's top defensive prospects. And according to his coach, LSU is receiving a quality individual.
One of the best players in the country. There's no doubt his upside is tremendous. He great work ethic, wants to be a great football player. And, you know, they ought to be very excited at LSU.
It's been a rough start to the winter for Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig. He underwent 2 hours of surgery today to repair a broken kneecap he incurred while slipping on the icy driveway of his Milwaukee home. The Florida Marlins lured catcher Charles Johnson back to the organization where he began his major league career. Johnson, who hit .300 last season, comes back to the Marlins as a free agent, signing a 5-year, $35 million deal. Well, the bar at Tujague's on Decatur Street was packed with Saints fans late yesterday afternoon when I stopped by after the game to pay my holiday respects to an old family friend. Some of the patrons, you're not buying that, are you? Some of the patrons were wetting their whistles, medicating throats strained by an afternoon of singing the Saints' praises before singing those of the Lord in strains that would be lifted to the frosty air this night with Christmas carols in Jackson Square. The confluence of the two seasons, the holiday season and the Saints season, made for a rapturous setting that was as warm as a grandmother's Christmas hug. They are both the seasons of miracles. Few of even those die-hard fans would have permitted themselves to dream what looked like the impossible dream before the season. But barring the improbable tonight, a tie between Tampa Bay and St. Louis, and the seemingly impossible dream of making the playoffs in the first year of this new era will be realized. For once, the more things changed, the more they didn't remain the same. For once, the ball bounced our way more often than not. And for once, the loser's lament of bad calls and bad breaks belongs to others. Victory is always sweet, but because Saints fans have waited so long and suffered so much, this is more than sweet, it's downright delicious. And what enhances the glow of the postseason is that the Saints, more so than any team that figures to be in the playoffs, will be playing with the house's money. Yes, there will be pressure to snap the winless postseason streak, but from now until the season finally ends sometime in January, hopefully, it's all lagniappe from here on out for a team virtually no one expected to be where it is and where it's going. Every year, it seemed, the holiday refrain for Saints fans was the same. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, what a wonderful Christmas we'd all have. But this year, the only buts are those of the opposition that the Saints have been kicking. And the only ifs are those being pondered of a team no one was picking. If not us, who? If not now, when? If not here, where? New Orleans is a long, lingering kiss on the lips of excess. Where would it ever be cherished more or celebrated better? Karen?
So well said.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Brad's next.
On tonight's edition of 4th Down on 4, it's lights out on the Saints division sweep. Rams running back Marshall Faulk has had some good rushing days, but nothing like today. The playoffs begin Saturday. The same two teams, same place. The Saints hope a different result.
From WWL-TV Channel 4, this is 4th Down on 4. Now, here's Mike Hoss.
Hello and welcome to 4th Down on 4. The rubber match is set for next Saturday at 3 o'clock in the Superdome as the Saints and Rams meet for a third time, a live 4th Down on 4 post-game show following that game at 6:30. Saints linebacker Mark Fields is our guest tonight as the Rams just make the playoffs as the 6th seed, winning 26-21. New Orleanian Marshall Faulk made a December visit to the Superdome last year and left with 154 yards rushing. Today, he beat that mark by 66 yards. The Saints wanted to put pressure on Kurt Warner and contain Faulk. They took care of Warner, but Faulk ran free. And the former Carver Ram will be back next Saturday as the Saints and Rams do it all over again.
Round 3, you can't script it any better. You know, hey, they're a great team, we're a great team, and we have to come out and see who's going to win.
Here we go again. Same old dog, just a different day. Here we go again. You know how I do when we play, how we play. Here we go again. A man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Next week, the Saints will play the Rams again. Another chance to stop New Orleanian Marshall Faulk, something they did not do today.
We got to stop them. That's the bottom line. We didn't stop them. I mean, they ran the ball down our throats. You know, that's embarrassing. We didn't stop them. And we got to tip their hats off to them. You know, they watch film. They did different things against us, but it comes down to 11 on 11, and we didn't stop them. They just kicked our ass today.
Faulk rushed for a career-high 220 yards and added 41 more through the air. He nearly outgained the Saints' offense alone, and his 3 touchdowns gave him 26 for the season, breaking Emmitt Smith's NFL record.
But he was unstoppable today. He made some good runs. You got to give it to him. And he kept getting short runs for 7, for 6, for 5 and 4, and then he'll break one for 12. So, you know what I mean? We have to come out next week and attack.
Saints quarterback Aaron Brooks never got into a zone, initially because the Rams surprised him by playing more zone defense than man-to-man. Brooks was picked off and fumbled twice in the first quarter as the Rams defense held the Saints to only 134 total yards through 3 quarters.
I thought they did a great job of, forcing us to take the long drives, using the clock. It was something, I mean, that's part of the game. We thought it was going to be a man-to-man game. They didn't do it. They did pretty much the same thing against Temple, and they did it with us today.
We didn't get anything going offensively, obviously. Our running game sputtered. Passing game wasn't much better. And by the time we got something going, it was a little bit too late. And, you have days like that, and we have to work to improve on that this week.
The Saints' lone touchdown through 3 quarters was provided by the defense as Darren Smith stepped in front of Kurt Warner's offering with nothing but a clear path of green ahead.
Yeah, it was wide open. Felt pretty good to make something happen and try to get something going. And we got the flow back into the game, and so unfortunately we just came up a little short.
Twice in the fourth quarter, the Saints cut the Ram lead to 5 points as Willie Jackson and Joe Horn caught touchdown passes. But the defense couldn't come up with the one big stop to get the ball back as Falk continued to hammer away for big gains, earning Norman Hand's praise as the NFL's best back.
By far, yes. He could kill you receiving, he could kill you running the ball, and we knew that we had to stop him. We didn't stop him. I mean, that's just embarrassing. I mean, gosh, I mean, it's 3 touchdowns, 215 yards, and I don't know how many yards receiving he had. It was just like a one-man wrecking crew out there today.
Warner was knocked out of the game in the third quarter, but behind Trent Green and Falk, the Rams dominated the clock, having the ball for almost 21 of the game's final 30 minutes.
We had opportunities. I don't know how many 3-and-outs we had, but we had plenty. And we had an opportunity to take control of the clock, and we didn't. I mean, our defense played outstanding. They held a really good football team to enough points where if we had been on today, we would have had, obviously, a better chance.
Take 1, set them up. Take 2, get them there. Take 3, get them done.
We beat this team. We beat them with people hurt. We still have people hurt, and I think we beat them again. You know what I mean? It's just bottom line of us come out and executing on both sides, offensive, defensively, and special teams.
Here we go again. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. Here we go again. So if it's me, yeah, you know it's out, dude.
We hurt ourselves with mistakes, interceptions, missed tackles, and the good thing is we got this team again next week, so we'll load it up, and it won't be hard to figure out how to game plan.
Bring them back next week. That's what I want to play anyway.
And you got them. The rather lopsided numbers, the Rams 26 first downs, the Saints 12. 7 came in the fourth quarter, so only 5 first downs through 3 quarters. Total yards 474 for the Rams. The Saints had just 269 total yards today. Falk again had 21 of those, or 261 of those yards. Also, the sack total, Leroy Glover had 1 sack today. He is now tied for 17 overall with Pat Swilling, who had it in 91. And again, 220 yards for Marshall Falk is the second most yards ever rushed against the Saints. The most was Mike Anderson's 251 yards just 21 days ago. And Saints linebacker Mark Fields joining us tonight, and that was a tough loss and certainly a tough way to finish, but the bigger picture is still in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a seed in the playoffs, and that's what we're happy about right now, but we know definitely that we have to go back and reevaluate this game and see our mistakes. I already know the coaching staff is, they might spend the night over there instead of going home with their family. I know I was talking to Rick Ventura on his way out, and he was like, I'm on my way over to the facilities right now.
Hazlitt was as upset as I've seen him this season. Was he the same with you guys?
Well, no, he kept his composure pretty good throughout the game. I mean, we had some bad calls. We had some penalties. I had one on myself on the kickoff return. We had a couple offside penalties and whatnot, but he was pretty composed. You know, he has to be. He's the head man out there.
He was more quiet, I guess, and his post-game presser didn't last very long. I mean, you could just see the agitation.
Well, absolutely. He's frustrated. We're frustrated because we knew what was at stake here. You know, Minnesota and I think Indianapolis. We don't know the outcome right now, but this game was a lot for us. It meant a lot.
You mentioned it, so let's get it out of the way. Kickoff, the lateral to Terry Allen. You were called for the clipping. Terry Allen takes it back 88 yards. Take me through the play and your responsibilities, and did you just have a bad angle on the guy?
Well, that's something we worked on in practice. We had a lot of confidence in the play. You know, I'm supposed to come around and get number 32, and basically I tried to get him. He was a little ahead of me, and I thought I pushed him in the chest, but, you know, I should have just let him go. Haz was like, you could have just let him go, but I thought he was going to make the tackle. So, but yet and still it happened, but, you know, we have to overcome those type of things.
Marshall Falk was certainly tough to overcome today, wasn't he?
Yeah, you know, he's a good runner. You know, he's a good runner. He got, I don't know what his stats was today, maybe 200-something yards.
220 rushing, 41 passing, so 261 yards. I think the Saints had 269 total. So he alone, I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, he had a good day. I mean, I know the coaches over there right now, they're going to dissect